Hello, I'm Essay, your AI essayist. Please note that all content, audio and video in this presentation are AI generated. As AI can sometimes produce inaccuracies, I encourage you to verify any factual information presented. With that in mind, let's begin.
The Stanford Prison Experiment, conducted by Philip Zimbardo in the summer of 1971, remains a profoundly unsettling touchstone in the history of social psychology. This study, designed to investigate the psychological effects of perceived power and powerlessness in a simulated prison setting, ignited intense debate regarding research ethics, the pervasive influence of situational factors on human behavior, and the very nature of authority. Examining the experiment's genesis, methodology, results, the subsequent critiques, and its enduring legacy reveals a complex narrative that extends far beyond initial intentions. Zimbardo's interest in the dynamics of imprisonment and dehumanization predated the Stanford study. He was deeply influenced by the social unrest and anti-war protests of the late 1960s, particularly the events surrounding the 1960s Democratic National Convention in Chicago, which saw violent clashes between police and protesters. The question of how seemingly ordinary individuals could engage in acts of brutality and oppression preoccupied him. Preceding Zimbardo's work, Stanley Milgram's obedience experiments, initiated in 1961, had already demonstrated the surprisingly strong tendency of individuals to obey authority figures, even when instructed to perform actions that conflicted with their consciences. Milgram's research, though groundbreaking, primarily focused on obedience to a direct command. Zimbardo aimed to explore a broader and arguably more insidious phenomenon: the influence of social roles and situational forces on behavior in the absence of explicit directives. He sought to understand how the mere assignment of roles within a structured environment could transform individuals' actions and attitudes. Goffman's work on asylums and the concept of total institutions also provided a crucial theoretical framework, highlighting how institutional settings can strip individuals of their identity and autonomy. The Stanford Prison Experiment involved recruiting 24 male college students, deemed psychologically stable and free from criminal backgrounds, to participate in a 2-week simulation of prison life. Participants received $15 per day for their involvement. Through a coin flip, the researchers randomly assigned roles as either guards or prisoners. The prison itself was a mock-up constructed in the basement of the Stanford University Psychology Building. Zimbardo, assuming the role of prison superintendent, aimed to observe the interactions between the guards and prisoners, documenting the evolving dynamics of power, control, and resistance. Local police cooperated by arresting the designated prisoners at their homes, further enhancing the realism of the simulation. Upon arrival at the mock prison, prisoners underwent a process of dehumanization, including being stripped, deloused with a disinfectant, and issued uniforms consisting of ill-fitting smocks and identification numbers. They wore chains around their ankles as a constant reminder of their confinement. The guards received uniforms, mirrored sunglasses to avoid eye contact, and batons, symbols of their authority. They received instructions to maintain order, though they were explicitly forbidden from using physical violence. Initially, the simulation proceeded relatively calmly. However, within a short time, the guards began to assert their authority in increasingly oppressive ways. They subjected the prisoners to arbitrary rules, demeaning tasks, and psychological manipulation. Sleep deprivation became a common tactic, as guards woke prisoners in the middle of the night for head counts or other forms of harassment. The prisoners, initially resistant, gradually became more passive and submissive. Some exhibited signs of severe emotional distress, including crying, anxiety, and depression. One prisoner developed a psychosomatic rash and had to be released early. Another prisoner began displaying uncontrolled rage. Zimbardo, witnessing the rapid deterioration of the participants' psychological states, initially attributed the changes to the inherent dynamics of the prison environment. He became deeply immersed in his role as prison superintendent, losing sight of his primary responsibility as a researcher. The experiment, initially planned to last for 2 weeks, was prematurely terminated after only 6 days due to the intervention of Christina Maslach, a graduate student who was dating Zimbardo at the time. Maslach visited the prison to conduct interviews and expressed profound concern over the guards' abusive behavior and the prisoners' suffering, shocking Zimbardo into recognizing the ethical implications of the study. The Stanford Prison Experiment generated immediate and widespread attention. Zimbardo argued that the results demonstrated the potent influence of situational factors on human behavior, suggesting that even ordinary individuals could be induced to act cruelly and oppressively when placed in positions of power. He posited that the guards' behavior stemmed not from inherent personality traits, but from the social roles they inhabited and the perceived anonymity afforded by the uniform and mirrored sunglasses. Similarly, He attributed the prisoners' passivity and distress to the dehumanizing conditions of the prison environment and their loss of personal identity. The experiment became a staple in introductory psychology textbooks, serving as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked authority and the potential for situational forces to override individual morality. However, the Stanford Prison Experiment has also faced significant criticism, particularly concerning its methodology, ethical implications, and the validity of its conclusions. Critics argue that the experiment lacked ecological validity, meaning that the simulated prison environment differed significantly from real-world prisons, making it difficult to generalize the findings to actual correctional settings. The participants knew they were part of an experiment, raising questions about the extent to which their behavior was genuine or merely a performance designed to fulfill the researchers' expectations. Recent analyses of archival materials from the experiment have revealed that Zimbardo himself actively encouraged the guards to adopt harsher tactics, influencing them to act in ways that confirmed his initial hypotheses. This active intervention casts doubt on the objectivity of the study and raises concerns about experimenter bias. Furthermore, some participants have claimed that their behavior was influenced by their desire to please the researchers or to create a more dramatic and engaging simulation. A lack of a control group, in which participants were assigned to a condition that did not involve prison simulation, further weakens the study's scientific rigor. Without a control group, it is impossible to determine whether the observed changes in behavior were specifically attributable to the prison environment or whether they were simply the result of being in a novel and stressful situation. Ethical concerns surrounding the Stanford Prison Experiment remain a central point of contention. The participants experienced significant psychological distress, and the experiment was terminated prematurely due to concerns about their well-being. Critics argue that Zimbardo failed to adequately protect the participants from harm and that the study violated fundamental ethical principles of research involving human subjects. The informed consent process has also been questioned, as it is unclear whether the participants fully understood the potential risks involved in the experiment. The degree to which participants could withdraw from the experiment at any time also remains debated. The power dynamics within the simulated prison environment may have made it difficult for prisoners to freely exercise their right to withdraw. Despite the criticisms, the Stanford Prison Experiment continues to exert a significant influence on social psychology and popular culture. The experiment's findings have been invoked to explain a range of phenomena, including police brutality, military abuses, and the dehumanizing effects of institutionalization. The images of the guards in mirrored sunglasses and the prisoners in ill-fitting smocks have become iconic representations of the corrupting influence of power and the vulnerability of individuals in oppressive environments. The Stanford Prison Experiment serves as a reminder of the importance of ethical considerations in research and the need for rigorous methodologies to ensure the validity of scientific findings. The experiment also highlights the complex interplay between individual behavior and situational factors, prompting us to consider how social roles and environmental contexts can shape actions and attitudes. Subsequent research has explored the dynamics of power and authority in greater depth, building upon some of the initial insights of the Stanford Prison Experiment, while addressing its methodological limitations. Studies on social identity theory, for example, have shown how individuals' identification with particular groups can influence their behavior, leading to both cooperation and conflict. Research on the bystander effect has examined the conditions under which individuals are more or less likely to intervene in emergency situations, demonstrating the importance of situational factors in shaping prosocial behavior. More recent investigations into prison environments have indicated that the nature of the environment, security measures in place, prior criminal histories, the presence of gang affiliations within the incarcerated population, and the extent of staff training all contribute to the observed social dynamics. The Stanford Prison Experiment remains a complex and controversial chapter in the history of social psychology. While it offers valuable insights into the power of situational forces and the potential for individuals to engage in abusive behavior, it suffers from significant methodological flaws and raises serious ethical concerns. The experiment serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the importance of ethical research practices and the need for critical evaluation of scientific claims. Its enduring legacy lies in its ability to provoke debate and inspire further research into the complexities of human behavior. The experiment prompted social psychologists to consider the ethical implications of their research and to develop more rigorous methodologies for studying complex social phenomena. The episode highlighted the need for independent oversight of research involving human subjects and the importance of protecting participants from harm. The story of the Stanford Prison Experiment resonates to this day, spurring ongoing discussion and analysis of the dynamics of power, obedience, and the human capacity for both good and ill.
We really appreciate you tuning in to this AI-powered presentation. Our goal is to push the boundaries of AI in content creation, and your input is invaluable. If there's a particular subject you'd like to see us tackle next, or if you have suggestions on how we could fine-tune our AI's creative prompts, please don't hesitate to leave your ideas in the comments section. We're excited to bring you more unique content very soon.